and my name is Tony Abatangelo. The biggest problem we have right now is, with this economic times, is staffing. Las Vegas Justice Court is the busiest justice court in the country. We have over 15,000 cases per judge. For example, the next closest in Nevada is Reno at 5,500. We have the same amount of staff that handled the DA's office filing 25,000 misdemeanors and 25,000 felonies 5 years ago. This year, or 2009, there were over 50,000 misdemeanors and more than 25,000 felonies still. That is the busiest, that's the biggest problem. We have to consider, as Janice stated, the schedules of witnesses, the schedules of attorneys. The problem we have is if we schedule DAs throughout the entire day, when are they going to be able to subpoena people? When are they going to be able to interview witnesses for the prelims and trials the next days? Private attorneys have to meet with clients in the afternoon generally, because district court and justice court are slammed in the morning. And everybody's moving that route. We also have municipal court doing arraignments at 1 o'clock. So for the criminal defense bar, when are they going to be able to come back and meet with clients? They're busy in justice and district court in the morning. They're busy with municipal court in the morning. We do need to be flexible and with limited spacing in the regional justice center at looking at where are we going to place these judges? And are we going to do a swing shift type judge? Are we going to do courtroom sharing? These are the numerous things that are going on. We also have many issues with local people that have problems with addiction issues. So when I run my specialty DUI court on Fridays, we're addressing lots of issues with those folks, and it takes extra time. There is a myriad of issues, but I think it's the staffing and how do we handle the cases and where do we put the people. Judges, DAs, PDs. Traditionally, Clark County Commissioner's Office would attract the DAs and attract the public defenders when a new justice court came in. 2 years ago, Las Vegas Justice Court added 2 judges. North Las Vegas and Henderson each added 1. There were no more DAs and no more PDs provided, which also therefore means no more support staff for those DAs and PDs, no more investigators for those DAs and PDs. What do we do with these cases? How do we handle these cases? You tie that in to the root of the problem, which is law enforcement has received incredible amount of funding through the quarter-cent tax increase, which is great. But the problem is that has a ripple effect throughout the entire legal system, from judges to DAs to PDs to prison space to probation officers to parole officers. All that is not funded. And how do we address that? That's another issue that needs to be addressed as well. There's definitely, in my opinion, a holistic approach that has to be taken. The district attorney's office, the public defenders, corrections, judges, everybody needs to work together to keep moving cases forward, as Janice did state.
This is Larry Labaroo. The question was, what is the greatest challenge facing the Justice Court? Mr. Abatangelo has really spoken directly to that, and it is a funding issue. It's throughout Clark County, not just the Justice Court, but also deals with the other levels of the court, also deals with the other staffing issues. It would be absolutely ideal and wonderful to be able to have ourselves a night court in Justice Court, to be able to deal in this 24-hour town in a 24-hour basis with cases coming before the Justice Court. How do we do that, given that it's going to require additional staffing, given that it's going to require additional security, keeping certain areas of the courthouse open, finding other space if they can't keep the courthouse open? These are problems that have got to be addressed, no doubt about it, as our population grows, as the criminal situation continues to grow with Metro doing their job. How are we going to deal with the greatest challenge? I wish there was an answer. I don't know that any one of the members up here in this panel have an answer to that. But that has got to be addressed utilizing the facilities that we have there, which are very expensive, in a manner so that it's to the best advantage of a 24-hour town without keeping people sitting and cooling their heels out there on those benches, as particularly witnesses. That rankles me to no end. And I have practiced long enough, and I have dealt enough times bringing in particular physicians that I represent, I have always made arrangements with counsel for an appointment when that individual was going to be heard. Why can that not occur for other witnesses as well, particularly police officer witnesses? That police officer has been hired for a purpose, to be out on our streets interacting with our community. I don't mean interacting with criminals, I mean interacting with our community and keeping our community safe. I hate to have an officer sitting there for 3 and 4 hours cooling his heels when he should be out on the beat protecting and serving our community. So what is the greatest challenge? Funding, unfortunately, in order to keep our courts open, serving our 24-hour town.
And for purposes of brevity, we're going to go ahead and remind you that there will be a link provided to you after this, so that you can put it on your website and add whatever else you wanted to. So please keep answers short.
Thank you. I have 2 questions, and I'll ask each one of you individually the 2 questions. The first one is yes or no, and the second one you can explain your answer. So the first question is, Jeannie, would you take a night court assignment?
Absolutely.
Second question is, would you consider the use of tentative rulings?
To the extent that a tentative ruling will encourage a resolution by the parties, absolutely. You can take a break. Bankruptcy Court Judge Regal, Linda Regal, does an excellent job of doing that. I'm going to make a ruling. One of you is not going to like it. You better go outside and talk about it, or you're going to get my ruling. And that encourages parties to reach a resolution without the court having to make a ruling. So a tentative ruling in that situation. To the extent a tentative ruling just delays a case, that the judge doesn't step up and do the judge's job, which is make a decision on a case when all the facts and the evidence is before the court and it's time to rule, then no, a tentative ruling is not helpful.
Thank you. Tony, first question, would you accept night court assignment?
Yes, and that's been discussed.
Okay. Secondly, and let me explain, by tentative ruling, I mean issuing a day before the hearing what your tentative ruling. That's that practice used in California where you and I are both licensed. So, would you consider the use of tentative rulings to expedite the hearing, the motion count?
Yes, because when I've been doing this as a judge now for 17 years, and I've talked to new judges at Nevada limited jurisdiction judges conferences, and I say you need to be consistent with your rulings, because that way the attorneys can anticipate what you are going to do. Judge Bonaventure Sr., I like to use him as an example because he's not running, he's retired, a senior judge. Everybody knew what his rules were. Don't ask for an OR on your client if A, B, and C apply. So whether it's going to be a conservative judge, or a liberal judge, a moderate judge, be consistent. That way the attorneys know what you're going to do. However, there are certain times, like you're referring to, in which tentative rulings will definitely help. And I'm not familiar enough with the practice. I just know after hearing Ms. Marshall's explanation and your explanation that that is what a policy I've tried to do for the last 17 years.